Watching the ABC 17 Sports Zone Special. Mizzou football back to Atlanta. Sponsored by El Tigre Mexican Restaurant, law offices of Ing & Woods, and Polylift Boat Lifts.
Well, for the second straight year, Mizzou football finds itself in Atlanta for the SEC Championship game. And for the second straight year, ABC 17 is right down there with them to get you ready for the big game. Hi, everyone. I'm ABC 17 Sports Director Austin Kim. Thanks for tuning in to our Mizzou football Back to Atlanta special. And our own Sherry Burris will join us in just a little bit. She is down here in Atlanta as well. Well, let's get you set with this matchup between number 16 Mizzou and number 1 Alabama. And let's start with the coaches. The Tide have Nick Saban, perhaps the best coach in all of college football, and he has a big-time national profile. However, the Mizzou Tigers have a name that's slowly gaining national recognition as well in their head coach, Gary Pinkel. And the one binding factor for these two is the fact that they both worked under the legendary and late Don James, who was the legendary coach at Washington, and he coached these guys at Kent State, and he says, and both say they praise each other. They are praising each other right now, and they say they cannot have any more better things to say about each other.
And I'm not saying this because he's my friend. I'm telling you this because I just have great respect. To win at the level that he's won, year after year after year, you don't see anybody doing it like that.
I think he gets a certain kind of person in the program that is going to work hard to try to do those things and buy into those things. And I think that's, philosophically why, Gary has been very, very successful, because we both had a great mentor to start with.
Of course, we have the other member of our ABC 17 sports team in Atlanta. That's ABC 17's Sherry Burris. She joins us here in the stands of the Georgia Dome. Sherry, you were able to talk to the team before they left for Atlanta. What do they make of Alabama being the heavy favorite in this game?
Austin, Missouri is not letting the numbers get to them. Earlier this week, players tell me they're used to being in the underdog position, so they're going to be playing tomorrow just like any other game this season.
3 years in the Southeastern Conference, and the Missouri Tigers continue to shake up the league, playing for their second conference title in back-to-back years. Despite the success, Mizzou is still missing on the radar of notable college football teams around the country.
Now we got to dial up just a little bit more, knowing that we're going to play for the SEC championship.
Missouri's gone 45 years without a conference title. Tomorrow,
We're trying to make history.
in the 3 years Missouri's been in the SEC, they have been in more championship games than Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky combined. Players tell me their lack of respect fuels their fire.
People still don't respect us because of some of the losses we had, but, any team could be beat any day. It's just how you execute.
Creating the doubt in people's minds are those two losses. One to a 4-8 Indiana team, the second being shut out by Georgia. Both games at home. Since then, the Tigers won 6 straight, earning them a chance to compete this weekend.
We won a lot of games this year, and we still not respected.
Everybody doubts us. They say we're up in our own offense, up and down. They say we have a great defense, which we agree, but our offense struggles. They probably say we're doing up and down in the kicking game as well, but that's all right. Our main goal is just to focus, finish doing what we've been doing these last 6 games, and stand dialed in and make sure we go hard in the fourth quarter.
A lot of teams have overlooked us. A lot of people have referred to us as underdogs, which we don't really mind that role at all.
The underdog Missouri Tigers have another chance for an upset, this time against the #1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide.
We're a bunch of explosive guys, that know what we're doing. We have a lot of playmakers on the team, and we come out here and win games. And teams don't, a lot of people don't respect us, and that's something that we don't really look for. You just want to look for. We just want to win championships and stuff like that. And I think a lot of teams are noticing that now, and I think we definitely put ourselves on the map.
And into the national spotlight, a team going 10-2 consecutive years. Missouri is on the right track to make that happen.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, it's really opening up to a lot of people. They saying that Mizzou is about business, that we're really out here trying to, make some things happen. I think the only way to beat their respect factor is just to win a championship, because,
if you're the champions, then they have to respect you. So, I mean, you know, we're really not focusing on respect too much. You know, we're just trying to win.
Tomorrow's conference matchup ties for the second largest spread in SEC championship history. I just checked. It is still a 14.5 favorite to Alabama. The last time the spread was that large was against Florida and Alabama back in 1996.
129 yards of offense, of total offense in this game, and the Crimson Tide ran for 362 yards that day. Now, this was also the season Alabama won the national title, and this time around Mizzou doesn't have as many injuries, and they are a very, very different team. The Tigers are eager to prove they will do better against the best team in the country.
I mean, I just think that was a bad day, you know, for Mizzou football. You know, we just didn't come out and we didn't show up. You know, like I said, it was an embarrassing game, you know, and we learned a lot from it. So, I mean, this time around, we're just going to come out and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Really remember is that long break we had because it was a rain delay. And during that rain delay, we were in there and we just had like a feeling of like no feeling of urgency. You know, we were down. I think we were down 14-0 when that happened. And it just wasn't an all-around good game, especially for the defense. So I'm just glad we get this chance for revenge.
Well, Mizzou football has never beaten a team ranked #1 in the AP or coaches poll. However, the last win over any #1 team was in 2010 against Oklahoma. The Sooners were at the top of the BCS standings. Mizzou won that one 36-27 in one of the most significant victories in program history. That win moved Mizzou to 7-0 for the first time since 1960. Well, plenty more coming up on Mizzou football. Back to Atlanta. Coming up after the break, we'll tell you more about the man they call Stack.
Welcome back. We are live here at the Georgia Dome before the SEC championship game tomorrow. Now, Missouri is known for their defense. The guy at the helm for their defense is the coordinator, Dave Steckel. He is nominated for the Broyles Award, which is given to one of the 5 best assistant coaches of the year.
The legacy of a stout defense at Missouri falls on this guy, Mizzou defensive coordinator Dave Steckel. Coach Steck is one of 5 finalists for Assistant Coach of the Year.
You know, honestly, it's very, very, very humbling.
In back-to-back years, Mizzou's defense led the team to a 10-2 regular season. So far this year in the conference, Missouri's defense ranks first in sacks, tackles for a loss, rush, and total defense per game. Just one example of why Steck is a finalist.
Very well deserving. You know, he's a heck of a coach. And, you know, it's neat to see him getting that kind of recognition for what he deserves. So I'm really, really happy for him.
Even before Missouri went on their 6-game winning streak, propelling them to the SEC championship game this year, SEC Nation host Joe Tessitore praised Steckel's accomplishments.
I also think Steck may be the most underrated defensive coordinator in all of college football. I think when you change up the talent year after year and you still get the results that he gets, and the way he can develop defensive linemen is outstanding. This may be
linemen like Shane Ray leading the SEC with 13.5 sacks. Tessitore's comments back in October highlight Steckel's accomplishments on a national level.
In recent years, this may be the program that develops the best talent on the defensive line that I've seen.
But Coach Steck, with his humility, says it's not all his doing.
The only reason I'm being nominated is because I got great assistant coaches that can help me figure this out, and I got great players to learn and tackle the ball, so it's very humbling.
Coach Steck has been coaching at Missouri for 14 years and in his 4th year as defensive coordinator. The Broyles Award will be announced on Tuesday.
All right, thanks, Sherry. Now, you can make the argument that one person raised the confidence level of this team after the demoralizing Georgia loss in October. That's Mizzou running back Marcus Murphy. In the win against Florida, Murphy had a kickoff return and a punt return, both for touchdowns. I went one-on-one with Mizzou's electrifying playmaker as he will try to change the game on Saturday against the Tide. There's a whole lot going on in the SEC championship games, especially beforehand. Does that help maybe settle the nerves a little bit now that you guys have already been there and you guys are going back for the 2nd time? You know what to expect in a way?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of guys, you know, it's just experience. You know, we've been there before. For last year, you know, it was kind of new to all of us, you know, just playing in the championship game. But, you know,
this year, you know, we do have a little experience as a team. I mean, we're going to just take everything, you know, put the distractions to the side and just come out and fight hard.
Essentially for you, it's 2 more games left. I mean, is it starting to settle in that, you know, there's a little bit more urgency for you to kind of make your lasting mark here at Mizzou?
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of urgency. You know, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. You know, I got 2 games left here. You know, I'm just trying to make it the best I can, you know, and just enjoy the rest of the time I can with my teammates.
What about the transformation that this offense has kind of gone through, maybe when you started to now? Because this is, I think, a team that relies a lot more on the run and their defense a lot more. I mean, have you noticed a big change from when you started here at Missouri to what you guys are doing this year?
I mean, I think it just goes with the personnel. You know, the team changes every year. The program or nothing hasn't really changed. You know, we just focus on coming out and fighting hard. You know, whatever it takes to win the game, that's going to be, you know, a part of the scheme. So, I mean, you know, I don't think it's really changed a lot. You know, it's just the different people and the personnel that we have, and we're able to make the plays that we can make this year.
Murphy is a finalist for the Paul Hornung Award presented to the nation's most versatile player. Well, still, we have more to come coming up on Mizzou Football Back to Atlanta. And here's the moment you've been waiting for, that one-on-one interview with Mizzou Athletic Director Mike Alden. He'll give us an update on some possible renovations for Mizzou Football's south end zone at Memorial Stadium. Don't go anywhere. That's right after the break. Welcome back, everyone. It's time for another one-on-one, and this time we sit down with Missouri Athletic Director Mike Alden. Now, with Mizzou football on the outside looking in the college football playoff picture, we decided to ask for his thoughts on the selection process by the College Football Selection Committee, and he also gives us an update on some facility renovations and why a big change to Memorial Stadium is coming up. Do you feel like even with this SEC East title that there's still a lot of people out there that are maybe not giving Mizzou their proper respect?
Well, I don't know about that. You know, I would say this, though, that we all play the schedule we get. I mean, so people don't know, you know, what you're going to be facing year in and year out towards your scheduling. And so for us, we just have to be able to line up for the 12 games that we have scheduled. And for us to come out of that 10-2, I think that's pretty darn good. And so when people try to question, well, what about the strength here? What about the strength there? I mean, who's to say where it was going to be when the season first started? Think about the loss that Ohio State had to Virginia Tech. When you looked at that game at the beginning of the year, Virginia Tech playing against Ohio State, I mean, that's a heck of a matchup right there, right? No one thought that Virginia Tech throughout the rest of the year was going to be a 500 ball club. They aren't used to being that. And so I use those examples like that to be able to say that, shoot, I mean, I think we have a pretty tough schedule, and for us to come out of that 10-2, I don't think we have to explain that to anybody. And the fact of the matter is we earned the SEC East, and we're proud of it.
What have you looked at with the College Football Playoff Committee in terms of how they decided where to rank different teams? How closely have you paid attention to that? I
pay pretty close attention to that. I know the majority of the members that are on that committee, and I know that they work very hard, very diligently to be able to take a look at strength of schedule, take a look at interconference play as well as out-of-conference play, to take a look at, you know, injuries or whatever that may be as it enters into the factor of wins and losses. And frankly, I think they've done a terrific job. I think that you have a number of people that are in that room that are working every single day to try to be able to get it right, but there is no exact science to this. There's human nature that's involved. But I think overall they've done a good job. I think they've balanced the scheduling throughout the country. They've taken a look at the matchups, and I think they've come out with some pretty good results.
Would you like to see a little bit more transparency, maybe publicly, for the college football playoff? Because we see Jeff Long make the comments and tell you who is where and why, but do you feel like that could be a little bit more public?
You know, for me personally, I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'll tell you why. I think the one thing about the NCAA men's basketball tournament, the mystery that goes behind that, the bubble teams and who's going to be in, who's going to be out, who's going to be the overall #1 seed, whatever that may be, I think just a little bit of that secrecy with regards to that, I think that's good for this discussion, the dialogue around the country. And I think that we've seen that play out very well in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. I think we're seeing the same thing relative to the college football playoff. I think there's something about that makes it a little unique and special, and I think the questionings that go along with that's probably good because the discussion is out there.
Let's move back here to Columbia. I know back in October, Coach Pinkel mentioned the urgency, the need to keep up with facilities in the SEC because it's such a competitive conference. I know that South Side is something that you guys are going to look at. Can you give us an updated timetable of, I know you guys have plenty on your plate with the indoor facility, but is the south side expansion something that you guys are considering?
It is, Austin, and I would tell you that, Coach Pinkel, all of us are certainly continued to focus on improving every single day, and I've been here 17 years now, and I don't think there's a year that's gone by, I know there isn't, that we haven't been working on something relative to the MU Sports Park as far as renovations or new construction or maintenance, whatever that may be. That's a constant process for all of us. Now with us, as you know, we're building a new softball stadium, which is going to be east of the Hearn Center, and we've got that fully going as far as the initial design phase is concerned, and then we'll bid that out to our architects. But on the other piece of this, we have the indoor facility that we've been working on, and now we've really focused in on this south end zone complex as well too. And so what we've done is we've actually made a determination. We're going to put on hold. We're going to put on hold the indoor facility just for a little while, okay? Because we've got the Divine Pavilion that works really well for us. We're going to put the new indoor facility just on pause for a little bit. Everything's kind of fine there, and we're going to shift our attention towards the south end complex. We think there's a priority on that right now. So what Coach Pinkel talked about in October, what I think all of us are focused in on, is that's always been part of the master plan. But what we're going to do relative to the indoor facility, we're just going to put that on pause, and we're going to shift those resources and all that attention to go full force towards the end zone complex. I think it'll be something that is going to help us in recruiting. It's going to help us as far as space-wise for all of our sport programs out of the MATC. It's going to help our fan base as well too, and certainly it'll be something that aesthetically is going to be really appealing for college football when they look at Memorial Stadium.
And when I'm assuming that would increase the attendance. I mean, can you give me a number, and would that also include office space as well? It
will include office space. It'll include space for our football team relative to a new locker room for them and a weight room and some other things. We aren't in a position yet right now just to talk about how that affects attendance or whatever that may be, because again, just about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, we made that decision. We made that determination that I think what we'll do is we'll put that on pause, the indoor facility, because we have one right in the Divine, and we'll shift our resources and all our attention now to getting ramping up the design work on the South Complex. So it'll be full steam ahead here pretty soon.
Early today, head coach Gary Pinkel said he called the south side end zone renovation a home run in a lot of passes. We wrap things up on the Mizzou football battle. Back to Atlanta special when we come back. Welcome back to our Mizzou football Back to Atlanta special. Sherry Burris joins me on the field of the Georgia Dome. And boy, Sherry, the excitement's kind of just building up, isn't it?
Austin, as the clock winds down, I just get more excited for kickoff, and they're getting ready here in this stadium too. Take a look here behind us. You can see they're starting to touch up the end zones. They just finished the SEC in the middle. Now they're in Mizzou's end zone. They're putting on the final touches of the paint. So the clock is winding down. The teams are getting ready. Austin, I'm ready for game time. I want to see how the Tigers can really compete against Alabama tomorrow.
I know there are a lot of Tiger fans that are making the trip down to Columbia right now. Some are flying, some are driving right now. So it'll be interesting to see, because the allure around an SEC championship game may not always be there for Tiger fans. Last year was a little bit different. It was the first one. Now that Mizzou is so, such a heavy underdog in this one, it'll be interesting to see what kind of crowd it's going to be like, won't it?
Yeah, we saw a couple Tiger tails actually when we were driving down yesterday. I've seen some posts on Facebook and Twitter of fans, but I'm hoping that this stadium will be filled with black and gold instead of crimson tomorrow.
Well, the driving distance certainly will play a part in that, as Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, much closer to Atlanta than Columbia, Missouri. Although Mizzou fans, give them credit, they were able to sell out their allotment of a little more than 16,000. So we'll see what kind of crowd comes alive in the Georgia Dome. Again, thank you very much for joining us for our Mizzou football Back to Atlanta special. For ABC 17 Sherry Burris, I am ABC 17 Sports Director Austin Kim. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Have a good night.
You've been watching the ABC 17 Sports Zone special, Mizzou football Back to Atlanta, sponsored by El Tigre Mexican Restaurant, law offices of Ing & Woods, and Polylift Boat Lifts.